Welcome back to the channel, folks. Today, as you might have surmised by the title, we are going to be talking about holsters. Leather versus Kydex. Does it matter? So, bottom line up front, no, it doesn't. Um, there we go with the ums again. It's going to depend on what you want as far as are you into it purely for function or do you want something with a little flash to it? Oh, conceal carry, you don't have to worry about that. Whatever. Okay, people pick accessories that no one ever sees or notices. They do it for themselves. It's not for what other people see. No one ever sees my watch. I wear it for me. It's kind of the same gig with holsters. If all you care about is function, get a Kydex holster. If you're worried about how fast you get a Kydex holster. If you want something that's a little more pride of ownership, you don't mind waiting for it, you want it custom made, go for leather. So, Kydex, what are the advantages? You're unaffected by sweat, oils, solvents, things like that. It has no effect on the holster. It's much more rigid all around. They're cheaper and easier to make, which makes them more affordable. And you're generally speaking going to have far less of a lead time. Now, there are some companies that have ridiculous lead times for Kydex, which I simply don't understand. But that there can be lead times involved depending on what you're getting. If you order from, say, JM Custom Kydex, and it's not a quick ship product, you're looking at about 10 weeks. I have this inside the waistband from them for my 1911, and they quoted 8 to 10 weeks. It took 9 weeks and 1 day to get to me. Fantastic holster. I really like this. I will probably continue to use it, but you're going to wait for it. Now, if you order something like a T-Rex arms holster, this is a discontinued model. This is the Nomad. They've discontinued all of their holsters except for the sidecar, which is kind of a neat concept. Not really for me though. Their current lead times, they're quoting on Instagram maybe 5 days, something like that. They're pretty quick. Their shipping department is actually really, really great. I don't care what you think about them, so whatever, spout off in the comments, I don't care. Great Kydex holsters coming out of T-Rex arms. And JM too. JM is fantastic. So there's some advantages to Kydex. Now, leather, you can kind of go a few different directions here. So advantages to leather. It's more comfortable. Like straight up, it's more comfortable. And like I said, that pride of ownership. You can get into the exotics. Sam Andrews offers a lot of exotic options. Now, it's not cheap. Leather in general isn't cheap. If you're buying leather that's cheaper than a Kydex holster, it's probably trash. You probably shouldn't buy it. When I'm talking about leather holsters, I'm talking about Sam Andrews, Milt Sparks, El Paso Saddlery, places like that. And there is an associated lead time with these places. That's your first disadvantage. Milt Sparks, unless you order a quick ship like a Summer Special 2 from Brownells or directly through Milt Sparks, if you're ordering something custom that's not in regular production, that they don't keep an inventory of, you're going to be waiting about 6 months. They quoted me on the phone 6 to 7 months. I don't mind because I already have options. I can wait. But they are, I don't want to say they're the best. I have not seen anything better. Now, my experience is rather limited, but here I am talking anyway. So, Milt Sparks, great options. Here is a 55BN that I got through Wilson Combat for my Centurion Tactical. This is a summer special too for a Glock 19. I also have one for a 1911, but I don't have it out right now. Now, one thing to look for with a leather holster is the mouth of the holster. You're not going to see it because it's sewn in, but this is reinforced with metal. So, a long time ago, I was told that I shouldn't use a leather holster because of the possibility of the mouth catching on the trigger and setting off the gun. Now, if you're buying a $20 bargain bin universal pocket holster for your Ruger LCP or whatever, okay, I'll acknowledge it's probably a pretty fair assessment and a real risk. If you are buying something that is actually quality, such as a Sparks Summer Special 2, it'll have a metal band sewn in here, which will arguably make the mouth of the holster, at least, more rigid than Kydex. Arguably. Argue about it in the comments. Another route you could take with leather is something more vintage. This is Alfonso's of Hollywood thumb brake, which I like. Whatever, I'm a FUD, whatever. Single belt loop, which, The problem is the jeans I wear put a belt loop right where I like to have the holster, so I prefer a split loop like this, so I can kind of nest that belt loop in between these belt loops and get the holster right where I want it. This, as you'll see, doesn't have that reinforcing band. So, as this weakens, gets older, this is already a vintage holster, it might become more difficult to reholster without looking. And that's not great. That said, the way I see it is reholstering is administrative. Drawing is a tactical motion. You should be able to do that fast and clean. Reholstering, it's nice to be able to do it one-handed without looking, but it's an administrative movement and is less important, in my opinion, than getting the gun out. Now, there's also hybrids. Black Point Tactical comes to mind. I don't have personal experience with them, but I've looked at their products extensively. They have the leather wing. It's a Kydex holster, but the belt attachments are on leather wings, little pads off to the sides, so you get the flexibility of leather, but the rigidity and imperviousness, if that's a word, of Kydex. Real nice. They are one of those companies that has an inexplicably long lead time. It's probably they're concerned about quality. They are a smaller operation with a big demand, things like that. So I understand a longer lead time. I don't quite understand a 16-week lead time, but that's neither here nor there. So, we've talked about what to look for in leather. Another thing to consider is more than just cowhide, which this holster is. The Milt Sparks quick ship holsters, as far as I understand, are rough side out cowhide. This holster is actually horsehide with shark trim. For an inside the waistband leather holster, if you're in a hot environment all year round, you're sweating a lot, it might be an idea to consider horsehide. It is generally a tougher leather. It's tighter grained, which leads to resistance to sweat. That's going to keep sweat off your gun. It's not going to absorb it and become funky. All around kind of better than cowhide. For an outside the waistband, it doesn't matter as much, but you can still do it, as seen here. So that's just one of many options. I need to learn more about the care of leather, different kinds, advantages to different species, I guess you could say. But still, generally speaking, in layman's terms, for an inside the waistband in a generally hot environment, say you live in Florida or whatever, a horsehide might be the move. Kydex, it's a specific material. It's not just any plastic. If you get your holster and it's dirt cheap, you got a great deal, and it feels kind of plasticky, that's because it's probably recycled milk jugs or something and is trash. Newer generation Bravo concealment holsters strike me that way. The last time I got some of their stuff, I was not at all impressed with the quality. The earliest Bravo concealment holster I got was in 2016, and the latest was in 2018. No, sorry. The latest that was still good, still felt like quality material, was in 2018, which is actually my outside the waistband 1911 holster that I'm wearing right now. They're okay, they're good holsters, they do what they're supposed to do, but the material that they're using more recently than 2018 at least feels cheap. The quality construction isn't there. I just am not huge on them. And this isn't meant to be a bash video. This is just me stating what I've seen with things that I've actually handled in my hands, with the exception of the leather wing from Black Point Tactical, which I have not personally handled. When it boils right down to it, whichever you get, don't go for the cheapest option. There is plenty of really good quality Kydex out there. JM Custom Kydex and T-Rex Arms are two great examples of that. I don't care what you think of T-Rex Arms. Feed the algorithm, put comments down about it. I don't care. I've used their products and I really like them. For leather, make sure it's good quality leather from a reputable manufacturer. Sam Andrews, Milt Sparks, Mitch Rosen, El Paso Saddlery. It's not hard to Google these different makers. I'm also going to plug for a buddy of mine, Vintage Gun Leather Today. That is both the website and the Instagram page. That's where I got this Vintage Alfonso, as well as another Vintage Alfonso for my pre-model 10 Smith & Wesson, and a few other neato vintage leather items. Things to avoid. If you're new to conceal carry and you're trying to find information on a holster, avoid universal holsters like the plague. If it will fit this and this, if it fits both of these, that holster is trash. Like, end of story. Done discussion. Avoid neoprene. Like, back in 2013, Blackhawk had those neoprene inside the waistband holsters, and I'll admit it, that's where I started. I had one of those, and I unironically used it, and it was a terrible choice. Don't do it. And nylon. Now, I'm not saying the nylon thigh holsters, if you're looking for early GWAT vibes, that's kind of a move. But if you're looking at a nylon on the hip, outside the waistband holster from Uncle Mike's, don't do it. Don't spend hundreds of dollars on a gun and buy the first $12 holster you see. Invest a little. Spend some money. Well, don't. You know what I mean. Get quality holsters. I prefer leather. There you have it. I prefer the feel and the look of leather holsters. There is nothing at all wrong with Kydex. I'm using one right now. I own more Kydex than I do leather. I'm not opposed to it. I just prefer leather. It doesn't matter. Don't let, Joe Tactical on Instagram tell you that this will get you killed in the streets. It won't. Not knowing what you're doing or having a trash holster will get you killed in the streets. Having quality, be it Kydex or leather, and firearm, it's okay. You can carry a 1911 in a leather holster and be just fine if you know what you're doing. So Kydex versus leather doesn't matter. Just buy quality. I'd like to thank you for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please comment, subscribe, hit the little notification bell. If you didn't like what you see today, dislike, comment, tell your friends, let them watch it, and come in the comments and hate me. It all feeds the algorithm. I appreciate your time. We'll see you again next week. I've got an idea for next week's video, and it might be a little spicy. So we will reconvene next week. Until then, you take care and take it easy.